mean, it sort of across from the traffic light downtown.
Oh, yeah.
And so you call, and I asked him, does he wear a mask? Is he off sick leave? And he said yes. He said if you want to sit in the car and wait, you can. But
Yes, sir.
They've got this one right here has got to go get a pesticide class here in a second. So it's 5 o'clock. So can I just preface it and start it and let them jump in?
Go to it.
Okay. I have three fellows here. Robert Shipley, one on the left, Andy Lavis in the center, and Jim with the mask on behind him. Jim is the county extension director over in Watauga, like I am over here, and Eddie's the livestock agent. They've been working with Robert with, well, one of the problems we've been having is with cattle producers, livestock producers, is that right now, if you have a cow you wanted to harvest, you couldn't do it until like April of next year. And so these guys are trying to come up with a plan of action that'll help that bottleneck from stopping. And it may offer opportunities economically, both in that county and our county. So I'm gonna let them explain what they're doing, and then y'all add in how we can help participate or how we can be part of this whole thing. You're on.
Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll just jump on briefly real quick. So, my background is forestry. So these gentlemen are much more qualified to speak, but as Jerry mentioned, because of the number of cattlemen and livestock producers that are direct sale or working, or retail and commercial sales of their meat that have to be USDA certified, the bottleneck has caused severe strain on food hubs here in Watauga County, which has increased their sales by almost 300%. There's a large market for these products. Bottleneck has caused producers not being able to get animals to market for sometimes into next year. So Bob Shipley here, and he can talk more about what he's done. We're trying to get. He's actually opened a USDA certified processing facility in Watauga County, which had previously been an certified custom factor. He applied for the grant assistance from NCDA to expand the capacity of that particular processing plant with some additional cooler and freezer space and other items that he can talk about. But really what we need, there's not just a processing backlog and bottleneck. So we have heard that there's going to be an additional round of funding coming from the state to create new facilities. This grant that he applied for was only for building capacity in existing facilities, and is for everything. What the pandemic has shown is that instability in the entire meat processing chain. So I'm working with our county on a potential site. With the assistance of the county, we can potentially create or construct a processing / slaughter facility, not just to meet Watauga needs, but to meet the area needs. I mean, this isn't just a Watauga County problem. It's a regional problem and a regional bottleneck that is affecting everything from small homeowners and farmers that have their own animals that they want slaughtered for personal use, and for the many more kind of commercial meat producers that we've seen going direct or retail or direct to consumer. That industry has been growing, and if we don't get the capacity, it's not going to grow much further. But again, that's about my knowledge of the meat processing and the livestock industry. So I'll let Bob and Eddie share their thoughts.
Let me go next because I do have to leave, but I want to address it from a little bit of different standpoint here as far as what producers and what this means to them. Because the ones that have been selling local and have a market, they've increased their income. what I'm looking at is bringing more people on. And there's about 7 or 8 folks currently in Avery County that I work with selling meat and have helped advise. So there is a lot of potential over there as they come online. There's about 250 people regionally that's selling or has license to sell meat. So I look at it as producers being able to retain ownership of calves, set some quality standards, and increase their profitability on each calf. And by selling local, the potential is there to increase net income $500 to $1,000 per calf. So that is substantial on a small producer's basis, and they seem to be excluded from a lot of the market because they don't have a feedlot, they don't have this, they don't have somebody marketing for them. So hopefully through all of this, we can grow some cooperative efforts to produce high quality meat and sell it here in the high country. If you took Avery and Watauga County and all the beef we produce, we would only be about 40% of what's consumed in Watauga and Avery County. And that's every animal. So the market is huge. It's developing the market and getting that bottleneck through processing. And luckily we have Bob Shipley that's been selling local, knows a lot of the issues and problems of doing that with COVID and where we face that, and is doing something to address that and has that commitment for a lot of other producers. So, unless someone has any questions.
Well, but yeah, that's like to see this happen, of course, for our Watauga growers. But like Eddie said, there's a large number of regional producers that would benefit from this. I think for the time being, or before COVID and the pandemic, our producers were having to take animals, at least an hour away one way just to get their animals slaughtered at a USDA facility. And we were fine with that because it was functional, it was stable, it's still kind of a headache and an extra cost. But the producers were willing to take that expense because that's the way this system worked. Well, now every other processor that are local, Watauga, Avery, Ash, Caldwell. Well, Caldwell has it a little closer, but even Eastern Tennessee producers have to go a long way, and now they're in a long line. So it's sort of a way to bring more efficiency and sustainability for our own producers and for our own markets. And if this piece of grant funding were to go through, and we were to get some commitment and able to build the infrastructure, it would be something that would be open for regional producers. It wouldn't just be a Watauga County effort.
This is Bob right here, so probably still have Eddie. We don't hear any audio from your all's end. Can you all hear us at this point, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We had to shut down the video because the internet thing was unstable.
Yes, well, that's fine. Well, the two guys behind us look a little bit better, so maybe I should do this and I'll look better. But do you have questions of Jim or Eddie there as we get started, or maybe there's some particular area that you'd like for me to focus on, or I could give you kind of a 30,000 foot overview? But Tony, do we have questions for you?
Can you hear us? Yes,
For those two guys.
I would say at this point, because I don't know how long the internet line is going to be stable, is to go ahead and give us a 30,000 foot view. So we're trying to paint a picture to our economic development board so they understand what you're trying to do, maybe see how we can fit in to the mix.
All right. Well, a couple of things. One, we're just a local producer that has a vision that we could perhaps make an impact. When I say we, anytime that I reference we, it's a collective we. It's foundationally important to understand that I kind of came through the Ag Extension program. My undergraduate was animal science degree, spent a number of years in a different industry, was back at the university for a while. My dad was a BOAG teacher. So there's a deep appreciation for extension and what it brings to the rural and the urban communities here. So that's where I'm starting from. Mine's been a business background, even though I've had ties to the family farm all of these years. My son and I started while my dad was still living a packaged beef product business that we wanted to bring a high quality product to the market, and with the same objectives that Eddie had mentioned there. It was never intended to be a hobby. It couldn't be. It needed to be a business. So from a business, we all understand all those things that go into the economic development side of that, the supply chain, the buyers, the processors, whether that happens to be flowers or cornmeal or whatever the case may be. Some of the same dynamics are exactly the same. So our vision, and I've had the benefit of good input from folks at the university level, the NC State folks have, on the animal science side, meat processing have been extremely helpful. We've had an opportunity to interact with people across the country a little bit, and as well as the Department of Ag has been really instrumental, and some other industry folks in trying to help us form a framework that perhaps could respond to a need. So as Jim and Eddie have indicated, the processing bottleneck was here before. It just got amplified, and when it got amplified, and when you had the large processors restrict some of their throughput, it just strained the system, and then there was a fear element that impacted pretty much all the elements of it. So that's what forced us into trying to find a solution, because we were in the back of the line in part to get animals processed, and that meant that you're out of business if you can't do that. So let's step forward then to kind of say where I think some of the 30,000-foot marketing opportunities might be. One, if we look at supply and demand, the cow-calf operation is basically a North Carolina industry on the agricultural side, but there's very little finished beef that occurs here. And so animals are sent west to be finished. I have a friend, he became a friend that had done, he had a business partner that I understood owned perhaps one of the largest feedlot operation combinations in the country. And he said that the guys in Kansas would love to be where we are. He says, what happens is that they've got the cows and we've got the people. Here on the East Coast, we're from a shipping point of view within a day and a half to 2 days easily in most cases from, to name the millions, 80 million people, whatever that head count might be. So an East Coast distribution opportunity, be it either for packaged meat or a specialty product, whatever the case may be. So let's think outside of the box, just beyond packaged meat, to what else can come from that. The whole industry of value-added products are many, and there's reasons for segmentation of that. Up here in the county, we've got Goodnight Foods, which you're all no doubt familiar with what they do with the ham, and there's others. And so there's many opportunities if there was a scalable both infrastructure that supported processing and thereby took advantage of this good environment here for grazing and raising cattle, and for those that are already in place and are doing it, for packaging and finishing those animals in such a way that they can be distributed to the market for the reasons that Eddie just mentioned, that would increase revenue to the farmers. To say nothing of what happens to those folks that rely upon a beef being raised on their farm or their neighbor's farm, that goes into their freezer, that ends up being a major part of their food supply. There's two segments there. There's the retail side as well as serving those that rely upon it for a food source. So that may help kind of cast a vision. So let's then just drop back to see if there's questions or some other details that I can fill in for you.
Now, Jim had talked to me earlier about you being a hub and spokes type thing where we can get the USDA facility, then our folks could come over there and slaughter it, and then we could possibly have some place to package it. Is that your idea?
Absolutely. I mean, that is a great idea, because one of the things that we see is that the idea of a local butcher shop, there's reasons why butcher shops in smaller specialty places exist, because folks who are in the processing business, that's not their specialty, okay? And so the closer we can get to that end consumer, the better that can be. So yes, we see the potential for, just as you describe it, the hub and spoke. It could be something that's called a chill and kill, is a term that the industry was used, where you have excess capacity there, or wherever that might be at the point of slaughter. Animals could be hung and chilled, and dry aged is another value added that is much more efficiently handled if you plan that ahead of time and have got the capacity to do it, and then transport a carcass or a quarter to a center that further processes. So yes.
So one thing I would add, Jerry, as far as, where we see at this moment, support from, other partners and collaborators, Bob and Shipley Beef submitted their proposal for the grant to expand the facilities. If this next round of funding comes in to build new facilities, what we would need is, at this stage, just some support or commitment that, folks and farmers and the industry in Avery would welcome a close by centralized processing and slaughter facility. We can definitely coordinate on the numbers, that between the surrounding counties that this would work. I emailed you just before the meeting started, kind of a list of talking points and bullets that you're welcome to share with your EDC on sort of what the current situation is and how we're trying to make it better.
Okay.
One question. If a farmer raises cattle, have it butchered, can he get the meat back and sell locally? Like, one thing we do much up here is people come and buy Christmas trees. Why couldn't people come, especially if you have grass-fed specialty meat, people, that generation and type of people in
Another goal. We really would, if this were to happen, down the road, we would really like to talk about, quality and putting together an actual brand, like, a high country branded line of beef that could then be marketed and distributed with different producers, but under that brand, at some grocery stores. There are some grocery stores that are interested in the concept that Bob here has put forward. And so, there's real potential to create a branded multi-county, initiative for beef that's grown here in the high country. Because, all of our cows are kind of, they have one leg, one side is longer than the other from walking all those hills, right?
Yeah. But, the interest for us, obviously, in every county is just like the Christmas tree people coming up here. Would be for more people to come up here to buy a finished specialty product.
Your audio is cutting out. Your audio is cutting out there.
He was asking if it could be like, why couldn't it be more like a choose and cut operation where the people come out here to get the trees, come out here to get the meat type situation?
Yes. The flexibility to accommodate whatever a individual producer, if they wanted just to distribute their product to their customers just if we're producing a very good, high quality product that's consistent and that deserves brand identification, then there's many opportunities there. And if an individual doesn't fit what they're doing to participate in something, having one animal killed and processed, that same care and attention to that quality processing will occur in any case.
And I'm assuming what you're talking about is a USDA approved facility.
Yes, inspected facility, that's correct. So with that, an individual, the benefit of the USDA inspected is distribution, in that the farmer, the producer, then can distribute and market his product anywhere in the United States. So shipping to those guests that come up and have their second homes there, and if they're
Lost you.
in the United States.
Individual producers who are spring investing for family consumption. That is one need that, explaining this to our county, man, we would not be doing this to exclude others. We want to create the capacity in the plant that would handle both. We would need the hanging space and cooler space for the USDA certified stuff that needs additional time, but then we would also have the capacity to hang and chill custom slaughtered animals from individual folks that are feeding their families.
What I'm hearing then is that if you could get feedback from those farmers here in Avery County supporting that project, as many people, as many farmers that are willing to provide that would be additional help in getting a new facility grant.
We believe that to be the case, yes.
And Michelle's been on top of that, talking to the producers, trying to get them to look at that. This has never been an option before, to be honest with you. Most for guys, grow them, put them on a trailer, send them to Abington, or send them down to Greenville, or send them somewhere in Tennessee, and sell them on the hook. And this is the way they can have value-added products, so they can get more money than what they're getting right now. So there's going to be some. We need to have a couple of bright examples for everyone else to see and say, okay, we can make money that way, and they'll jump in. But we're trying to drum up support within our own county for this. This has never been on the table before.
Do we have any idea when the grand opening is going to be?
We mentioned the folks that preserve the local restaurant, and they've got the capacity to do that, in a way that works for the restaurant and the producer great, as well as just for those that want to know where their beef is coming from, and if it's on the farm next door and it goes into their freezer, then you've got another customer that is highly satisfied.
And this isn't just for beef. This would be, pork, lamb, other, processing facility and a slaughter facility in the same, on county property. The county to help recuperate some of the costs that they would incur from matching not only the property donation, but also to assist with any building construction. There would be a per animal fee. With support from multiple counties, I think that fee would be consistent. There'd be a slaughter fee and a processing fee, and part of those funds, would go back to the county, because I think while the land that they would donate for the facility would be considered a match, due to the cost of a USDA certified facility, you're talking 1.5 million to get the kind of facility to handle the demand that we have here. So there would be some cost. But again, that's down running. It's going to look like apparently it's in the pipe.
Just to reiterate what Jim said about species, basically everything except wildlife and feathers. So no feathers. Feathers is a different world.
Do you know when the grant opening period is scheduled?
You know what the grant is scheduled, when they might be.
No, we do not. the current grant that is, Jim made reference to, we're anticipating the Department of Ag's response to the submitted RFPs within another 2 weeks. They had hoped to get it done here at the end of August, but looks like it, best guess is the department has been mum on any announcement, but right now, just the best guess is perhaps after Labor Day. I think once they get this done or get further along into it, then the thought process would be given to this next phase. And that's what my understanding is. Certainly, the commissioner or someone at that level would have more than likely a clearer answer, or would be in a position to give some direction there. I do not think, from what I'm understanding, it would need to go through a legislative process again. I believe, from what understanding I have, that the highway's been laid out in terms of how the funding might occur. And then if in fact the department determined that that was a good and appropriate use for those resources. Is that kind of a good summary, Jim? But I would think that within a matter of a couple of months, we would have more definite clarity as to whether this is a reality or not for another level of funding.
One thing that I'm the local county representative for the High Country Council of Governments. And since that covers this, the whole region, I'm thinking that may be a good vehicle through which this may be operated in terms of administration. It would cover a lot of different areas and would not be proprietary to any one county.
There, from my point of view, and I think from Jim and Eddie's, there is no desire for being proprietary or trying to place a flag on a hilltop that says this is our corner on the street corner. It's let's help as many people as we can with as much of a positive impact as we can. That makes good sense.
And they will help with the grant writing also, High Country Council of Governments.
Yeah.
So
Sure. That's another.
I didn't know if that was the avenue you were gonna go, but
Yeah.
all the grants that we've ever received has always been because of the High Country Council of Governments.
Phil Crew there with the High Country Council would be an excellent contact person to help with this.
Okay.
Only, I mean, it's going to take, for this sort of thing to propose a new facility of this, of this size for, regional facility, it's going to take, more, it can't just be a Shipley Farm and Watauga extension effort. This is, we're thinking big with this, and we'll just see what the next round, the next round holds. In the meantime, Shipley and the Watauga Butchery will be, getting, new capacity to handle additional animals, but that leads back to the bottleneck. He can't process more animals if there's not slaughter capacity, even at the other plants. I mean, right now, even with his processing plant, the animals are going to either Mays or one of the other USDA certified facilities. And before the shutdown and before everything, they could have handled the additional slaughter, and then we would haul them up here for processing. But now, what are they at? Two animals a week, maybe?
Yeah, we're just getting 4 animals a week inspected. Wow. And our business plan was for 5 times that many. So that creates some challenges. We've been able to accommodate some the custom work for farmers in the meantime. That's a balancing that processing need, beginning to get staff in place. But all of that has logistics, and but we're making progress.
Well, I would certainly like to think that you can count on Avery County to support this in every way we can.
Well, thank you. And let me throw one other thing in there, and this is kind of that entrepreneurial spirit that exists in many places. Once folks have a resource that if they could, whatever, somebody may have an idea of processing lamb or maybe a sheep producer that says, I've got a market for this, and here's something I can do with that. Or if it's a pet food processing or whatever the case may be, the opportunities for small spinoffs are potentially large. If there was a resource and if little by little it grew and had those foundations put in place and had the infrastructure there that was done intentionally from the beginning strategically to support a variety of people without it having to be a conglomerate that had to have a pet processing, food processing place or a recycling avenue that created fertilizer, who knows what. But I think there's an opportunity for small entrepreneurs that could come up with some other unique applications that could be
Additional spokes to the wheel.
And everything that you can do that provides that value added benefit is in fact a real benefit to the farmer.
Yeah, folks making jerky and smoked or charcuterie, any numbers of those things that you may have somebody that has a great expertise but doesn't have an infrastructure behind them to support that.
Good, Jerry.
Okay.
Well, guys, thank you for coming on. Sorry for the unstable internet here, but
I'm blaming it on the storm. Something has been.
but
Well, no, we appreciate the opportunity to speak to y'all and again, this isn't support. So I appreciate Jerry tying your EDC into kind of what we're doing. I wish we had more kind of concrete steps to put forward to you, but we're kind of in a wait and see mode with the funding. But to have this relationship sort of established and to know that support is there is invaluable. So thank you all very much.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
You bet, guys. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Bye.
I know.
That's not a lot of bull, is it? Sorry, I had to say that.
No,
See Shipley, Shipley, he's probably 65, 75. His father lived to be 108, I think, 105, 108. He was a Shipley from over in Watauga, did all the stuff in Farm City and everything else. But the problem is that Shipley, he has a processing plant, but he doesn't have a USDA. So everything he does,
But they can't package.
once it's slaughtered somewhere else, he can package it, but he can't kill it there. So everything he
Okay.
has goes down. Now, if I bring a cow in and I'm slaughtered for me, he can do that, but it's not a USDA. And so, like right now, we have Singleton down there at bottom of the
So
lake.
he can package,
He
he
can't.
can kill to resell.
He can't slaughter. He can take a dead carcass and cut it up and package it up and sell it, or package it up for you to go sell it, because it's been slaughtered in a USDA facility. So what he's doing is that he himself is asking for the first grant, because the first grant that came out, $17 million from NCDA, was for you gotta have an established something, and then you add money to it. You can add capacity to that. So he's trying to add capacity to his operation so that he can do more animals. But the other bottleneck is that, like you said, we have 3 or 4 USDA facilities, Thomas Brothers, Mays, and a couple others, and they're backed up into April 2021. So if you have a cow right now and you needed to get it slaughtered and you want to sell it, you could. And so what they're saying is that the other thing is about making a high country brand is that the cattle in the mountains have always been thought of as being different, as being tastier, as being whatever, because of the environment they live in. And so what they want to do is create a high country brand where everyone joins in with it. And that way they have a slaughter facility, they slaughter it. Once it gets slaughtered, you can bring it back to your own location to cut it up or send it to them to cut it up. And then once you get it cut up, you can put it in the freezer and sell it. So that's the idea behind it. And most of our growers, most of our livestock producers over here are like Rio. He's growing them and he's putting them on a truck and sending them off.
How many, Jerry, do we have in the, how many do we have selling beef?
That I don't know. I know we have probably right at
Cause I talked to one this week, and
75
this is funny.
75 to 80 producers. It probably represents 3.5 million of income for farmers in
The
this
one,
county.
the one I talked to this weekend is going all the way to Abington to get everything done.
Right,
And they had no idea that this was gonna explode like it has.
right, and that's the problem.
And they're
No,
like,
no,
now that we can't keep up and I need help.
and they
You know,
can't,
they need to hire extra help because they had no idea this was gonna explode like this.
right,
Now they're getting requests for shipping it to Florida. You know,
and unless it's a USDA facility, they can't. They can't.
so that's why they're going to Abington and,
There are other ways to get, the other ways to get around it. Like if I have a live cow and Dennis wants to buy it, I can deliver it to Singleton and have him slaughter it. And then he buys the live cow from me, pays me the cow and pays him for the processing. So he's actually getting the whole, he's getting the whole cow. But you can't do other than that.
you can do,
But you couldn't buy half a cow, a third of the cow, the rest of the cow and do that. It's
Solely for personal consumption.
probably, yeah, that's the idea without the USDA or NCDA. And you gotta have a meat handler's license. So we got, you know, several people in the county that have that. We're trying to get more to have that. Once you have a meat handler's license, then you can take a carcass and cut it up and sell it if it's done at a USDA facility. So this is an opportunity. But like you said, the USDA facility is $1.5, $1.7 million to get you, because there's a lot of different things, stainless steel, a lot of different things that come into play. But if they could get that over there, then that might mean like Jerry Jones, who works for the county. He could take his cow over there, get it slaughtered, get his meat handler's license, bring it back, cut it up, put it in his own freezer and sell it. Instead of getting 82 cents a pound for a carcass weight, then boom. And the other thing is that when they kill it, they're gonna have the hides there. So that means tanneries.
Right.
That's raw material for tanneries. The bones, you know, bone meal, fertilizers, things like that. So there's several different things that can, and they're not going to do that. They're gonna burn it, or they're gonna use the landfill as a location, so that way they can just take the stuff out and throw it out. But if other people come in and say, hey, I'll buy they'll sell those bones to them. They'll sell the tan hides to them. So there's other industries that could spin off of that. And that could be anybody that could come and jump in on it. So I just thought this was a great opportunity to let y'all know about it, so that when time comes around and we can jump on it and help them, I think that'd be a good thing for
the
our
best
community.
case scenario, they're talking a year, if, and there's a big old if in the road.
Yeah.
The grant, right?
Well, the grant, the first round of grants was for increasing capacity. That's already been done. They submitted theirs August 14th.
Right.
And then Jim said that probably November, December, they would open up a second round, which would look at new structures, new facilities. And that's what they're looking at.
Well, I think Dennis hit it on the nail head. Get High Country Council, the government behind this. That way it's Wilkes, Ash, Avery, Allegheny,
And their planning department is top notch.
Mitchell, Yancey, High Country, boom, and branded as High Country. And surely to goodness they can't look up those 10 counties and now and say, oh, you're not gonna get the grant.
Right. So it's an opportunity. So I just sort of want to bring this up to y'all. So
Yeah, I'd let him, get him to get a field crew Michelle Ball on this grant.
What kind of capacity of killing and processing would they have to do this
I think they're talking like 10 to 12 animals per week.
per week? That's all.
That's more than Maze has right now.
Well, yeah, he said they had 4 right now.
I mean, that's more than what the existing.
Well, like
facilities are doing.
Abington, how many did they do it?
Yeah,
I don't know. I just know that the most they were getting out of them was 4 per week, and that's just one. So I'm assuming 15, 20 cows per week is going to be the capacity, which is
but
a
you
lot.
got to think about the population of cattle too in this area. I mean, it may be significant, but still yet it's not a western ranch.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, we don't have
Right.
30,000 head of cattle.
Right. And part of my life I spent up in southeastern Virginia, up in Smithfield, Virginia area. And, they process 3,000 pigs a day in there. So, I mean, thinking about the processing, that just doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot when you really think about the, as I said, the cattle population of this region.
Well, you can go from getting, 80 cents per carcass.
Right.
To $5 for a pound of
$5.
hamburger. That's more money, and the thing is gonna be more money in the farmer's
Right.
pockets versus, now, a lot of these farmers aren't gonna wanna do direct marketing. Okay, a lot of them won't. But they would be able to, I'll throw my cows and everyone else's will go sell them a food line. They'll get,
They can still, there's still a pathway for it to be marketed.
yes,
They may not want to market it, there's a pathway for them to put it into the chain.
it'll be more money than taking it
Right.
to the slaughterhouse and now and selling them the other carcass.
And you're not gonna, I'm assuming that's gonna kill a farmer's day.
Yeah,
A cattle market.
and the other thing is that he was talking about, I'll touch on a little bit, is that when we finish a cow, right now, if you do certain things and you document you did those certain things, you get a premium. So in order to be part of the High Country brand, I'm sure Eddie and Michelle will come up with these things you got to do, and Eddie and Michelle will go out and make sure those things are being done, whether it be feeding them a certain feed or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm Jim. I'm not in cows. I'm in trees. So there'll be certain things that a grower has to do for the 8 months prior to selling it. And then when they do that, then they qualify to be within that brand. But even if they don't, if Philip has a cow he wants to go slaughter, he can take it over there and have a slaughter.
Right.
So it's be multiple things that can happen. It's just that the backlog, when they start looking at the backlog, we got several producers that are looking at over there, they're looking at going bankrupt because they can't move their product.
One of the other ancillary needs that this is established for the home market is freezers. Right now, chest freezers are almost impossible to find.
And who is,
So
okay,
that's all. Thank you.
sounds good.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
All right, I guess we can, at this point, officially declare our meeting open.
I'm sorry.
That's, no, you want to get going before you lost one of your people. So first order of business then will be, our July 27th meeting minutes. If there are no corrections or additions, I entertain a motion to approve. Second,
Second, Clayton.
Clayton, okay, yeah, because,
I'm jotting down some stuff, so.
All right. so everybody knows Susan is at a doctor's appointment this afternoon. And so she will be trying to transcribe the minutes from the video that Dennis is making. Okay, so all those in favor, signify by raising your hand, and it looks like it is unanimous. That makes it easy. Before we get into the regular meeting, there are two things that I'd like to bring up. The first is, much to my dismay, I received a request from Jesse Pope to resign from EDC. He is simply overwhelmed, and that certainly is understandable. One of the things that I did say to Jesse in my reply email was, could I prevail upon him to possibly suggest a person or two? And I've done the same thing with Melinda. We don't get to make the decision, but I think that if we could encourage our, let's say, what do I want to say, attract the right individual who then submits an application, if in fact we can be pushing, this is the person we'd like to see the board approve, that would help, rather than just those people who see the ad in the newspaper and say, I wonder what that is, maybe that'd be fun.
I'm waiting to hear.
Okay.
So I'll let Cindy know that, he has resigned, and we'll start the process to get some applications. So you'll be talking to someone to encourage them to put in an application. They can find those online on the website.
Keep in mind, that's a 2-month process.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Except the first month and votes the second.
Right. And I did, realizing and knowing myself how busy Jesse is, I did say that we would accept his resignation to be effective immediately.
Yeah.
And I've given Philip a copy of our correspondence so that you and the board members will have an official resignation.
I hate that, but I totally understand it. Wow.
He's just overwhelmed. I mean, that, like we were saying before, if it wasn't for COVID-19, he'd be overwhelmed with all the construction and everything that's taking place up there. Next is, and Philip can help me here. If we continue to meet on the last Monday of the month, we will not be able to use the county administrative building because the planning board is there. So we can do one or two things. We can say, all right, we'll continue to meet here, if it's okay with Jerry. Or we could say, let's simply change the day of the week. Philip has indicated that if we change the day of the week to Tuesday, which would be the last Tuesday of the month, then we would be able to go back to the county building.
But whatever works best for everyone.
We already, not that on board Jerry and his weak signal, but if we were in the administrative
That
building.
normally doesn't happen.
It does, time to time. Right to here, there's a strange thing that goes on. Your cell phone's messed up in here.
Really. We'll have to have that work.
Also, I think things would be easier for Dennis when we needed to do something and we wanted to use a big smart board and so on. Lastly, I asked what I consider to be the most important person, and that's our secretary, what she would prefer. And she would prefer moving the meeting to the last Tuesday. So I'm open to comment and suggestions. Would the last Tuesday of the month be a problem for anyone? It might help you, right, Clayton? Because
Yeah, it would help me out. So.
Monday,
You
I
may
mean,
have that mail on me.
nothing else is, of course, with COVID, nothing else is happening anyway.
but it's
Say that you
But no,
okay?
that would be
Yeah,
great.
that would work.
That would be great.
Gary?
I'll just have to see. It's different. It's different every month. But at least it's the last, because usually we have so many things on Tuesday,
Yeah.
after hours and leadership. But at least it's the last one.
So should we then tentatively agree that we're going to hereafter go to the last Tuesday of the month and see if that works out for everyone? I don't think we need a motion or anything, we just need general agreement.
And we'll change that on the website, and I think that's all we have to do is just simply start announcing that it's Tuesday, the last Tuesday of the month.
And that's-
So-
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, back in the commissioner's room.
So we will meet September on the 29th.
Yes. We'll be changing the date that you have on tonight's meeting agenda.
I'm sorry we bumped you with the planning board, but they're important too. And things went to moving again in the real estate market, so they're meeting every month now, where they, wasn't a conflict before.
It's the migration from the urban areas.
Yes.
Let's go to unfinished business. The website development project, a little bit at a standstill, having a hard time getting Boomer Sassman together with Dennis. And so Dennis said, Ken, maybe if you could call Boomer another time, make sure that he has my cell phone number, and I did give it to Boomer the first time, and urge him to call me. He said, can I promise you if he calls me, I will get back to him. So I will be doing that tomorrow. And so that everyone understands, in my conversation with Boomer, really what he was saying is, I've got to have this conversation with your IT person first, because I've got to learn about what your systems are before I can come back and present to you. What he's planning on doing once he knows this, he's going to give us a list of, would you like to do this? Would you like to do this? Would you like to do this? And then we'll use that list for jump off point to say, this is where we want to go with it. Let's see what that list looks like, okay? I would say, and I guess probably I have to thank Melinda somewhat here and Kate, because the conversation that he and I had, he was so enthusiastic about doing this for Avery County. You know, to me, that's a big plus when someone is that enthusiastic about wanting to do something. So that was a good one.
I will say he is also currently in the process of rebuilding the Town of Beach Mountains website. So he's got a lot on it.
A lot. All right. Philip, anything new on the,
I apologize because I thought it was on there. It must have dropped. We will get it fixed.
what's that?
The poll video.
Oh, okay.
Is that where you're at?
Yes, where I'm at,
It's
right.
supposed to be on there. What's it?
Okay.
Where things have happened.
We, in other words,
Like your information on the Avery by numbers. Another story. Keep going.
we did make all of the corrections to the video so that you cannot recognize any of the
It's
children.
approved.
Okay.
So it's supposed to, and I just looked.
Kate, Main Street America in Newland, anything new? Probably not. Okay. We basically decided last month retaining employees workshop, we're just gonna let that go until someday where maybe we have COVID behind us. Anything else that anyone wants to discuss?
I had a conversation with someone who was looking forward to that workshop and asked specifically. They have a need, so it is something that people are interested in. Retaining employees right now, especially,
Critical.
is hard, and we're growing, so it's going to get serious. Our workforce.
And hopefully we don't have a huge problem when the Structural is ready to hire. John Green and Susan are going to, I've kind of coordinated a meeting that will take place so that we can provide them guidance on how to secure the kind of employees that they want for this facility here. Because Victoria is very specific about what she's looking for. She does not want turnover. So we're going to help them in that regard.
And have you talked to her any this in the last week?
Not in the last week. Last time I
So
spoke.
she was looking for contractors to
Yes,
start the process.
yes, yes.
Okay.
That I was aware of. She did tell me that, I guess they did not really comprehend, the difficulty number with the permitting process. That's why it was.
And the contractors are all tied up.
And the contractors, particularly the reliable ones, people that they're gonna be comfortable with.
Not rain.
Mike Gray told me last week he was 18 months out.
And Dennis, when you think about this, I mean, you know, this is gonna be a huge undertaking. I haven't been in the building, Phil, you have, right? This isn't just a
No,
remodel.
this is gonna be a 6 to a year process.
And-
What
and
project are you talking
Structural,
IRC building
IRC
out by the
building.
high school with the structural,
about? The IRC building?
Yes.
And what's going in?
they're gonna open where they're gonna do the interior wall, framing of the interior wall production. That'll be his 4th company. But they're selling a lot of stuff to West Virginia and Virginia, and they wanted to get closer to this market.
So the guy that owns it
Is opening.
developing.
Yes, yes.
Finally.
So this will be his 4th factory. Yes.
SIPs,
Like Jerry?
is it structural insulated panels or?
And also aluminum doors, frames.
They're gonna have a showroom, so it's gonna be
The
What's
show.
the product? I didn't understand.
It's on the Avery
interior
County
wall,
website.
it's on the Watt website. Which website?
It's on our Avery County. They're a member of the chamber.
They're already a member of the chamber.
Photos and everything are on.
So they make interior walls for homes mainly. It's their big product, but they do all kinds of.
And the showroom will be phase 2.
Yeah.
When they get production up and running, last time I
And I
talked.
can't imagine right now how their business is growing.
It's amazing. There was, our tax report last week, last month from the tax office we get every month. There was 155 properties changed title last month
In July,
in July. Normally it's 70, give or take, 155 properties. It's incredible.
Land Harbor's inventory went down to, what was it, Ken?
Was 15 last week. It would not
15
surprise-
homes available.
15
And it
available.
was what? In the 60s or 70s?
Well,
Couple of years
in
ago.
2010, after the 2009, our peak was 225 available homes.
Hmm.
Last week we were at 15. I know some sold. I don't think any more came on the market, Dave. I don't know.
We had one come on the market, but we've also, sold a couple since then
Yeah.
too, so it's probably hanging right in there somewhere. It's just about as fast as you get them, so.
And the other thing that's happening is there's no negotiation from what I've heard. People either walk it in and they're paying the asking price. And I guess maybe you've experienced it, Dave, but I have heard that there have been a couple of free bidding wars.
There have been, yeah.
So it's crazy. And I'm assuming it's probably the same whether you go to Grandfather or Bear Creek or wherever.
They're all buying a second home.
There's a lot of them coming up.
It's gonna be their primary home until COVID's over, and then they're gonna go.
We've got people from New York, New Jersey, Florida, you name the
We
states.
had that same
Exactly.
thought, because we have.
Because I think everybody's
we have
panicking and
17
just
houses
moving
left.
wherever.
I'm basically side that seat, you're taking a video with your phone, and they'll say, we'll buy it, and we'll inspect
They'll make
it.
an offer.
We'll inspect it when we get there.
Jim put his house on the market on Wednesday. Had a contract, the boy on the, my counterpart.
Yeah.
He put his house on sale on Wednesday and it was offered full price Friday night.
Yeah.
2 days.
And I just read an article in which the exodus from New York City is basically overwhelmed all of the area movers.
U-Haul trucks and all that, I heard you cannot,
You can't get
you
it.
can't get one.
You can't get
And, talked to someone from Madison County today, because they're moving just and one little U-Haul company, that she said they might have one truck and 2 of the little pull-behinds, and they're, had like 54 trucks parked there, because you can leave them at any U-Haul. So they've got 54 trucks to try to get back out on the
Trying to get
road
back.
from Madison County. She said, it's not gonna happen,
There's not that many people, Mark.
No, she said they're gonna have to come, someone's going to come get them and take them back to up north.
But I see this as kind of a good thing.
Absolutely.
Because for many, many years, all the rural areas moved out, and now they're coming back.
Yeah.
So I think you're gonna see a lot of these small towns opening back up again.
Yeah.
And really doing some good. I really think it's good.
What's the demographics? Do you know the people moving? Are they like us or are
Basically,
we lucky enough that there are young people too?
Us and over.
but their families.
And there's some families.
There's a lot of young ones.
So
That's great.
Of course, about everybody.
this morning during our COVID meeting, because we have them twice a week, the school system is part of that meeting. We have children in the resorts on our virtual high school. They're taking our classes because they're not going back. I've had one of the particular golf resorts called and said, nobody's going to leave. They're going to winter here because it's safer. So, they're
And
here.
Eric, that's the thing. You're talking about families coming here because they feel at risk in the urban area that they're in.
Yep.
I mean, just the last few days, now they've got violence again and looting and rioting and rolling. Crazy.
Interesting.
I did talk to Bruce about how many homes and condos sold, because, and I used that. Is it I'm going ahead, sorry. 120 homes as of last Wednesday. So what was last Wednesday's date? For the month of August, it's already 120. So sorry, my phone is exploding. But, so 120 so far as of Wednesday, between 6. I did use that information to send out 2 packets to 2 of our grocery chains today that were still at least talking to us. And told them, and I sent them sales reports of how many people have moved in here to help support the need for another grocery chain. So I hope that.
Let's try to sit down on that this
Well,
week if you have any time.
We might sit down there in a few minutes, yeah. And I had a meeting this morning to show another piece of property. They wanted me to show it to them for another idea on an apartment, affordable housing, workforce housing, apartment building. So hopefully that will be good news, and hopefully there'll be some good news in the town of Newland within the next month, because there's been some soil tests done on a piece of property that'll be great for the town of Newland. Jerry might kill me, but we've been talking to a lady about an alfalfa farm,
Oh my gosh.
and it'll be okay. But it's, I mean, this is just how things are happening right now. It's just going crazy. And thankfully, you know, we've been worried about sales tax. So we closed the end of the year with May sales tax, which we just got the 15th of August, and that's for last year budget. But we were slightly up, like 2.61. What concerns me, we had grown 15% between 18 and 19, but this year it was only a 2, but at least it's an increase. But I was really worried with the lockdown that, you know, we wouldn't see an increase at all. So now we get to go June, July. Let's see what happened in June, July, and August, the next 3 months, because that's really going to impact us without calling games. People swear people were here.
I can tell you from Food Line standpoint, they broke records every day from June 1st until now. They turned the store over twice a week. So I mean, they are.
And then I think we're going to see, you know, if everybody stays and they let their kids do our virtual high school, they tried to get into school, but you know, they waited, so they're doing the virtual high school. You know, those sales will hopefully continue. So.
Lowe's Hardware said to me in Banner Ave, they were up 15%.
I see that. He's got it. So that's kind of my updates in a little package.
Okay. I will say we are very, very fortunate that we've got Alan Cook to see the programs he's been putting on to help people that have been impacted, their businesses have been impacted by COVID-19. He just provides this personal, hands-on to help these people get their applications and their et cetera, and CARES Act and everything else. Okay. Jerry, do you have anything else you want to kick in other than?
Well, I've been in contact with a couple of people from Raleigh's, trying to find how to go about locating a greenhouse chain that will let them come here and put vegetables, similar to what Little League Farms is doing in Yancey County. And that's just starting, so it'll probably take me a few months to get some hardcore people.
On the dancing project, when are they going to start moving dirt?
They,
And go.
the company's supposed to be down here now, so I don't know whether the COVID thing is slowing it down or not. But really, the only thing they're doing is put a greenhouse on some slab, and making on 20 acres and have a 10-acre pond that feeds the greenhouse. So, you know,
I was just through there over the weekend, and I thought that I might see some dirt fish, but nothing had happened.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering.
and we're getting closer to our building.
Yeah, so everybody go out that door.
I went in before.
Actually, looks like, tell what everything's gonna be now.
Yeah.
And Philip, I'm just gonna say this, because I know y'all don't have occupancy tax, and I tell you, you need it. I just brought in $93,000 for 1 month, just within the town of Beech Mountain, which beats our last record of July occupancy tax quite a bit. Last year was our record, and it was 39,000. So People
You
are
went to
here,
93.
people are spending money, and we're reaping the benefit of that because we have occupancy tax.
And you're getting that on VRBO and.
On
Airbnb
everything.
and
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
We're losing money.
Oh,
You are.
boy, if only someone had been saying that.
I've been saying that ever since I moved back here in 2004. I really have. That's
Yeah.
one first
Janice,
question
can
I
I,
had.
can I ask?
There's
you
more and
one
more and
question?
more vacation rental.
Is it taboo with the rest of the board?
There's not, well, no, but there's some, yeah,
Yes.
there's some nudges in there
That I'm aware of.
that is a problem or an issue. I won't say a problem, that's an issue. But I looked, last night, Cindy, when we were talking about trying to get away for a day or two ourselves, and I looked at that Sunset Beach, for like, those picked 2 days in September or October sometime. And I thought, well, this is a pretty good price for this room. And then I got to looking at the fine print. They're 12.75 city, then a facility fee, and then their cleaning fee, and it was the price doubled with ancillary fees and so forth. So what I'm saying is, people, especially with VRBO and Airbnb and stuff like that, they know this is there. And people say, well, it'll keep people from coming. No, it won't. They know that in this day and time, if you go to anywhere from Motel 6 to the Adams Mark in Charlotte or wherever, you're gonna pay occupancy, you know?
Well, I just rented a house in Sky Valley for October for 10 days, you know, but I didn't think it was too bad.
Yeah.
You know, really.
But it's always there.
It is. People are used to paying it and they don't mind it.
And I think people in some cases are shocked by not seeing
Exactly.
the bill.
Yeah.
Because they're so used to it, you know, that no matter where you go.
Well, and two, it's all, you know, Cindy and I, we fixed up my mother's apartment there at our garage. We're doing the Airbnb thing we started a few months ago, which it stunned me, the response we got from it. And first I thought, well, you know, the pricing, I thought, well, we need to. And then I quickly realized we need to up this, because what we think of as pricey, it's the same with real estate. What we think of as pricey, everybody else is going, oh my gosh, look at this. And it's a learning curve for us. And of course with them, they Airbnb collects all that on their end. We don't have to collect it. It's part of what they pay them. But it's really, I think, the more we have people here, and the more facilities, if we get more facilities, rentals and things like that, and more of the Airbnb and VRBO and those type of places, it's a untapped resource for the county, I think, in many ways. And
I mean, but Kate's figure, that's a peanuts.
Not crazy.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
a
my
peanuts.
budget that I manage is gonna be about $380,000 this coming year for me and my staff and my marketing. And I just brought in a quarter of it in 1 month. So I'm gonna have way more money left over, and I've got 2 savings
And it's
accounts.
supposed to maybe be a good winter if we can see.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good winter whether we can or not, because people need to get away where they feel safe.
And if we pass a $0.25 sales tax, then there's another large amount of money that would be painless, that would be coming in to support programs and stuff too, so.
But if you look at it as far as a tax that is not gonna affect your local people, that is
Yeah,
it is
occupancy
one.
tax. It's
Yeah.
paid completely by
Exactly.
people that come in. They don't use your schools, they don't use all of your services. They just come in, give you their money and leave.
We hear,
They use your roads, but more than that, boy,
Preacher to the choir over here.
you're losing a lot of revenue.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on from that, maybe somewhat so subject. Eric,
Yes,
the floor is yours.
for,
For your
well, there are two items. One is closing out on the recreational thing. And the other thing is the rental part, or the, not rental, that what we just talked about, but the housing subcommittee thing. Let me just summarize. We canned the recreational thing, and you asked me to do something else. I think when we have more time sometime, I talk to a lot of people about recreation, and I interview some, including in the county, and I think it deserves a little more time than we have today. So schedule that sometime. Now with that, looking at the housing subcommittee, I've looked on the website. I'm totally uncertain about what the goal ought to be and what we ought to do. I've learned some stuff, but this is something that I'm not sure what the goal is and how productive it is, and based on the discussion we just had. So I can talk about what I found out, but that's probably what a lot of people already know. So I've learned more about Avery County, the economics and what would support it, etc. But I like to put that on hold for the time being.
Philip, did you hear anything more specific about the folks that were going to do the 80 unit that were going to put in for the grant?
the workforce housing,
Yep.
they, no funding from the federal. So that did not happen. But we're going down a different path just to try to help that move along for some workforce housing. So, and I'm kind of like with Eric, we need some workforce housing, and we know that. I know that the hospital is already struggling about this influx, and they're going to get ready. They're going to have 50 more jobs when this middle wing opens, and Carmen's like, where am I going to put these people? I mean, there is going to be nowhere for them to even think about renting or relocating. So, I mean, it's a need, and it's booming. It's right here in the face, quick.
Now, on the workforce housing, are you talking the 12 acres of Steve? Or is it houses or just apartments?
Apartments.
Okay, so it's not houses?
No.
Okay.
Just normal rental apartments.
Non-income dependent.
So that's all, other than Lewis McRae, there's not an apartment building that's not based on your income in the county. Other than Banner.
Would the town expand the city limits to provide houses?
Maybe. Water and sewer is a big issue.
That's what I'm asking.
The water's not a problem, but the sewer is.
Yeah. Water goes to Mountain Electric up this way, and the sewer stops at the transportation building.
And Dennis, is it the geography that's the problem, or is it that you are close to your permitting capacity?
Both.
Both.
Sewer, water lines are pressurized. They can run anywhere, any way. Sewer is all gravity, because first thing you learn as a plumber is that it runs downhill. And so it has to be on slope from wherever you're at to wherever you end up. And so that's part of it. The second part of it is the capacity of the treatment station.
Close to your permit.
Even if with the new bond a few years ago, the capacity of the into the water system. And that's another component of that. That's another restriction. You might be able to handle the inflow, but you cannot have the fluency of the outflow.
Right.
Is the limiting factor.
So
That
my
basically has
understanding,
gotta come out as potable water.
so my understanding, you need a whole new facility to expand?
Well, the town of Newland what was it built about 10 years ago? Redid, had a bond issue and upgraded and did a lot of work on their waste treatment facility. Part of that, the overseeing of that issue, as it was government bonds, was that they have to be self-sustaining, which is why the water bill in Newland went up considerably. As I was one of the ones that pays it, I can tell you that for a fact. So it did help, but there is some capacity still, but at some point, it's not unlimited by knowing. It's very limited as to what the top, and I don't have those numbers right handy, but I did know one time what the top of that is.
But the county is not allowed to buy the land and take it from there, are they?
No.
Okay. So.
Because I'm taking tax dollars, what I can do with tax dollars is I can compete in the marketplace, just like I can't own internet.
But what can happen in some of these facilities, some of these properties, is like a lot, like in some of the other areas, they can provide water, but then they have to have septic systems on the property for their waste, which is a,
But it could be a shared system, a community system.
well, there you get into a whole different animal.
Right.
You would have, then you fall under subdivision ordinance. It has to be very tightly regulated.
And the timing on, people are wanting to move on stuff, we'll talk.
But yeah, if there was a property that could be done within the limits, they could expand the water supply, that's not an issue.
I know if his property is not too far out of the limits, is what I'm trying to figure out.
But they would have to, more than likely.
And we have 100 and some houses on
And
it.
we just have to give it Keith and see,
Yeah, what the well and septic, or have lots big enough to handle drain fields and septic systems. And setbacks and all that.
Okay, we are heading for 20 minutes after 6. I don't have anything really left on the agenda that I put out. Anybody doesn't have anything else that they want to discuss, we could entertain the motion, or do we need a motion, we could just talk about adjourning.
We're working with a couple of people for a business in Newland and in Banner Elk. Banner Elk is probably more positive at this point than the one in Newland. And, which I've talked a little bit to Philip about. And other than that, it's really all we have. So,
What about that grocery store thing? I saw the parking lot was sealed.
the parking lot has been patched. It's not going to last.
just to help it look better.
Yeah, it's really all it's doing is makeup.
I see it's for sale in the Avery Journal.
Well, it's been for sale for a long time. My people still want to buy it, but they're not going to buy it until we can find a tenant. And I don't think the people that own it, typically, they don't hold things long. So they're looking at somebody to come in so our people can buy it. Until we find that, it's just not going to happen. I know I've reached out to a lot of people. I know Phillips wants to do the same. And the key thing is a grocery store. Other than that, we're open to about anything.
We'll kick around the idea that distribution center.
Anything will work. But the only thing is, I do think in our growth pattern of our town, this is all my thoughts, is that we need to to have something in there that's nice, that will work, that's attractive, and we can start building around it, you know, to make things happen. You know, honestly, I think we need to change some things. That's just my thoughts. And, you know, because guys, we're going to grow, and I would rather see us control the growth rather than try to keep up with it.
Try to make that.
Yeah,
Phillips can
you know, so that's our problem.
Is it gravitating towards Banner Elk versus?
I don't think so. I mean, Banner Elk is, I won't say their capacity, but, you know,
There's not,
I tell you what we're finding is that a lot of businesses in Charlotte right now are looking to expand. And a lot of them are buying houses up here, and they want to move some of their businesses up here. And that's what we're looking at. I mean, if I could design one building, I could sell it to 5 people. It's that simple, and I could sell it to them overnight. You know, but to find that one
if it was
particular
available.
type of building, you know, that's almost impossible. The people are wanting here, they're wanting here bad. And, you know, we have a lot of good things going for us.
Well, we've been averaging about 3 new members a month.
Yeah.
It's not slowed down. We are busy.
Yeah.
There might not be that much walking in our phone. We just haven't really slowed down. We've successfully had those festivals and then been in a safe environment and not had a problem. We, you know, got to emphasize the safety part.
But,
And that's,
and I think what some of these things are, I don't want to say yuppie products, but that's almost the way it is. You know, they're specialty things. And at least that's kind of what we're running into. And we've got people from Raleigh coming to buy things. So it's not just the home market, because we've got people coming in here every day for $500,000 and up, you know, to make this their home. But they're coming from New York and New Jersey and Florida and, you know, all around us. But we've got businesses, like I say, that are wanting to come here too. And we don't have anything to offer them, really.
Over at Eagles Nest, for instance, we're talking to some folks over there, and a large part of their population is people from the Carolinas, and within 150 miles, that come up here and stay 4 days the weekend and go back to their house. They're not seasonal. They're year round, but they're not permanent. I mean, they're, I don't know what you call that.
I don't get to count them on the census.
But they come regularly year round. And that's what I think we're going to be seeing more is there's going to still be the seasonal folks from out of state, but there's going to be people from 150 miles away that's coming up here and spending a lot of time.
And you've got a lot of retirees coming from Charlotte up here.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing is you've got so many younger people, and I mean 30s and 40s now, that can do work from home on their computers. So it doesn't make a dang bit of difference where they live, and they're coming here.
Yeah.
They don't want the big city anymore. You know, so we're struggling to find the land of all different kinds, whether it be housing or commercial or whatever.
And I know in Land Harbor, we're hearing, you know, our snowbirds. Guess,
Or staying.
no, they're not going back to Florida.
Right.
They're gonna try.
A lot of them are.
And
we'll probably have one of those.
and I know-
winters.
I know in the area around me and everything in Land Harbor, there's several people, they own their place there. They haven't moved there, but it's just like I said, they come up on either Thursday night or Friday morning, and then they leave Sunday or Monday, depending on what kind of weekend they have, you know. But I mean, it's like they have that extended 3 to 4 day weekend every week. But then they're gone Tuesday through roughly Thursday.
I mean, one of our
I know there's at least 3 or 4 like that right there around where I live.
is we've got so many demands for someplace for these people who are leaving on Sunday or Monday to get rid of their garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
It's sort of like me. I have a place in Raleigh. I haven't been there since in January
way from
Because I'm
Texas that I can't get there.
If there are no objections to closing the meeting, I hereby declare this meeting adjourned.
Very good.
Adjourn.
And if you don't have anything else to do at 12 tomorrow, get on the website to the North Carolina Christmas Tree Association for the whole state, because Jerry, Phillip, and the health director are gonna be on the expert panel to talk about how we're safely going to
And as is our county
choose and
manager.
cut. And the only thing that Phillip said was, I didn't even have Jerry in the conversation. What are we gonna do about the tree growers to be able to advertise to safely do choose and cut? And the next thing I know, I'm on the expert panel. Are you kidding? There's nothing for me to say except we wanna know how we're gonna do this.